what they say, raiding their farms, all because herders have cut the electric fence to create a way for their cattle to graze in the park. It's quite a danger, and just trying to, create that balance between the animals and as well people is something that has become a problem in the longest time, especially those ones that reside close to the parks. And in Kajiado, herders have killed about 10 lions within the Amboseli ecosystem, accusing the big cats of killing their very own livestock, all because of drought. Just what would it take to address this, wildlife and human crisis, which is something that is a big problem. We all understand very well that these animals we depend on, especially on the question of tourism, but equally we understand that the lives of human beings and those ones of their property should be taken care of. So it's quite a delicate balance and a conversation that is here and developing for that matter. And so we'll be trying to as well unpack that and understand what are some of the proposals that would be accorded to the stakeholders to make sure that they come up with policies and mechanisms that will help us manage that crisis. And that is one of the stories captured on the front page of the People Daily. Rogue churches face tough times with death toll from cult rising, and as well with hundreds missing. Government talks tough despite clerics' protests. A story captured on page 4. And when I say that the president equally speaks to the question of security, this also he tried in his level best to address, because it's in a way a form of insecurity. And I mean, just as we follow up on what plays out in the life of Mackenzie, the likes of Yeshua Tongaren, the likes of Pastor Ezekiel and numerous other pastors, the president maintains that he would not wish for the state to gag the activities of religion or the activities of the church, but I mean there would be that need to have some aspect of the church itself manning these activities to make sure that there's some level of discipline. And therefore, as we also look at the commission of inquiry and how it handles this Mackenzie matter, I think it would be wise for us to just derive great mechanisms of making sure that Kenyans do not fall culprit to this in quotes, religious activities that are considered to be dark. Ruto rules out handshake even after 3 Raila meetings, the third meeting in 2 days between President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga, that left Kenyans speaking and asking questions whether there was a political deal in the offing, whether it was a coincidence, because, well, the two gentlemen would have been expected to attend the burial of Mama Kimathi as well, just getting to proceed to Kasarani Stadium also for the sporting actions, and also what they did on Saturday, yesterday, of course, following the Mashemeji Derby as well. The two meet again, that is yesterday during the Mashemeji Derby, but in a televised interview, that is President William Ruto says that, well, he is totally against the handshake because he feels like in that way then the government would not be accountable, and therefore says, an active opposition would be friendly for our government to perform. And the Mashemeji Derby, AFC Leopards, carrying the day 2-1. Certainly, congratulations to them, even as we hope that this gentleman then would be able to revive the sporting actions as should be expected. Let's see what else we have here. The Standard newspaper. Big 2 meetings, a set unity deal talk. Well, this is the conversation that is there. In 24 hours, the political rivals Raila Odinga and William Ruto have 3 public appearances together, hinting at a possible mending of fences amid discontent over high cost of living and taxation that is hurting the citizens. But perhaps we'd want to go with what it is that the president said, that, well, really he isn't for the handshake. And so we'll be looking to see how that pans out, and equally the view of the gentleman that will join us for these dualist truth moments on political class. He's been talking about this in his book, and it's quite an interesting read. This very one speaks to the fact that, he highlights just how one individual stole some very important document of a truce in the bag of, the once governor of Kitui, that is Charity Kaluki Gili. It will be an interesting one. It will be good for you to just grab a copy and understand some more on the nitty-gritty details of the politics or the politricks, if you'd want to call it that way. And here, the Sikh from as far as Uganda, Tanzania, Ghana, Dubai, and Australia flocked to embattled Pastor Ezekiel Odero's church in Kilifi County seeking healing. That's a story captured on page 2. That is on a Sunday. Foreigners trooped to Ezekiel Church for prayers, even in these moments of complaints and questions as to just how the church manages itself, and also in particular, just looking at the likes of Pastor Ezekiel, who are seen to be, carrying activities that perhaps should be questioned. And here we are. Schools face hard times over delayed funding. Story captured on page 7 of the same, and it's quite a problem. And Ahula Balu and President William Ruto trying his level best to articulate what the government is planning to do in relation to making sure that we restore the sanity on the question of education, even as we continue to grapple with the fact that we're trying to see how best we accommodate the competence-based curriculum. KCB overtakes Equity as largest bank. Interesting times. And equally in terms of the fluctuation of the market and the changes in the market, that is on the business beat, page 21. Effect of tear gas on your body. Very important that you equally learn what this is all about. That is on the question of planet action. That is page 19 of the Standard newspaper. And as well, Ingwe emerged derby winners, trouncing the Gor Mahia. That is a story captured on the sports world. I'm sure you're going to get more on the sporting action from the gentleman that will be joining us shortly in relation to the same. I am not able to access my Daily Nation, but all the same, I think more or less the same stories for now. Allow us to pick the stories that have been prepared by my team, and then we proceed. And of course, we have this on the question of Shakahola. A search rescue mission the Shakahola forest has rescued about 9 people, 5 of whom are children. This brings to the number of those rescued to 81. That is, of course, on phase 2. Let's hear more.
A change of strategy. Investigators at the Shakahola forest seems to have borne some fruits, with the search and rescue mission today leading to the rescue of 9 people. Out of the 9, 5 are children. 3 of the 9 are in serious condition, with 1 person arrested. Those familiar with the operation says the move by authorities to suspend the exhumation of bodies made Mackenzie's followers, who had started running away during the day to evade authorities, stay in the forest, which led to the rescues today. Today's rescue marks the number of those rescued rise to 81, 4 of whom have been reunited with their kin. This comes as President William Ruto is asking for more time for the government to unearth what unraveled at the forest, where the death toll has risen to 201 so far.
I want to assure you that the government of Kenya is going to get to the bottom of what really happened. Give us a little time. Our security agencies are working round the clock so that we can unravel these acts.
The president, who was speaking at the AIC Milimani, affirmed that the government is working closely with security agencies and relevant authorities in the ongoing probe.
We are going to deal with the individuals that abuse the sanctity of faith and the word of God in a manner that we deal with all the other criminals.
At the same time, the head of state went on to note that government will be collaborating with the church and spiritual leaders to explore solutions that will help weed out individuals who are using religion to manipulate Kenyans.
We do not want any blot to be on the church because of the activities of a few.
On May 5th, President William Ruto appointed a commission of inquiry consisting of 13 members to begin a probe into the starvation cult. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
And President William Ruto has apologized to Kenyans over the Shakahola massacre that led to the deaths of over 200 Kenyans. Speaking during the joint media interview, the president says the massacre should not have happened in the first place.
Mackenzie na wenzake alishajulikana kwamba kuna jambo lenye dosari anafanya. Ameshikwa akapelekwa kotini. Kotini ikamwachilia. Ameshikwa tena akapelekwa kotini. Kotini wamemwachilia. Hii safari sasa ameachiliwa, ndio amekuja sasa akaongoza haya maovu akitumia dini. ambaye nilisema leo, huyu bwana ni mhalifu kiwango ya gaidi, kwa sababu wale watu maisha ya watu amewaua kwa kutumia dini. Hatuwezi kuelewa ni vipi, lakini nimeambia taifa ya kwamba hii jambo, na ndio nimeweka jopo mara mbili. Jambo la kwanza nimeweka jopo ambaye tunaita Judicial Commission, ifuatilie uhalifu na ituambie ni nani zembea kazini ndio haya mambo yakatokea. Na huyu bwana washirika wake ni nani? Haya makaburi yaliendelea vipi? Hii mambo yote yalitendeka vipi? Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Ya pili, nimeweka pia task force ya watu ambao wengi wao ni watu wa dini, kwa sababu dini ni mahali ambapo tunapaheshimu sana. Sisi wengine wetu ni Wakristo, tunamwamini Mungu na tunaamini dini ni mahali ambapo watu wanakimbilia wakiwa na matatizo na mashaka. Lakini pale wahalifu na watu wenye nia mbaya na watu wa mauaji kama vile Makenzi na wenzake wanapotumia dini, ni vipi tutazuia jambo hili lisifanyike tena?
Now, the hope for the disarmament process in the northern region seems to be bearing fruits. This is after one AK-47 rifle was presented in a prayer rally in Marigat, Baringo County, led by First Lady Rachel Ruto. This even as local leaders continue to call for peace dialogues among the different communities.
The final day of a prayer series that began on Tuesday in Marigat, Baringo County culminated with what might be viewed as a step in the right direction in the fight against banditry and cattle rustling. As these prayers continued, one AK-47 rifle was disarmed and presented to the dais for prayers.
Ambayo iko katika mikono mibaya.
We redeem it.
Hivyo basi twaipokonya.
We redeem it.
Twaichukua.
We bring it back.
Twaileta
to the right purposes.
We will transform you into a good citizen. Kupitia kwa kanisa, kupitia mama doing good, kupitia kwa serikali, tutaweza kupatia njia mbadala ya kuweza kupata mapato. Kwa viongozi wetu tunashukuru. Mama pia ameweka msingi wa amani katika kaunti yetu.
With the religious leaders and politicians drawn from different communities in the 6 counties of the north, seeking for forgiveness and vowing to lead peace drives in their regions in ensuring that coexistence among neighbors is achieved.
Ulipoteza mtu katika hii maneno, wacha siku ya leo tunapoondoka kurudi manyumbani, tujue kweli damu ya Yesu imetutosha. Na pengine ni rahisi kusema hivyo, lakini sio rahisi hivyo katika mioyo yetu. Wacha tukue na ule msamaha.
And on behalf of those who have suffered for very many years at the hands of people called bandits, I really want to express my gratitude and gratefulness to you, to the pastoral team, and to everybody who organized this conference and prayers for healing the land.
This even as local leaders have urged the government to increase development projects in the 6 counties, further lamenting that they have been sidelined for years.
Hii shida tuko nayo kwa North Rift yetu is a result of marginalization from the government since the time of colonial, when they decided to do development along the railway line. Sisi tunaomba kwa hii serikali yetu, sisi wote kama viongozi kuanzia MCA, governor wetu, MPs, mpaka ofisi ya rais, najua utatufikishia ujumbe ya kwamba hii dunia yetu ambayo imeachiliwa for many years iwezwe sasa kukumbukwa kwa mambo ya maendeleo, ili watu waanze kukua busy na mambo ya maendeleo na vitu zingine.
And President William Ruto has indicated that the Kenya Kwanza government has so far identified close to 5 million farmers, of whom received subsidized fertilizers as promised in his plan for farmers. Speaking to journalists at the State House, the head of state maintained that the previous government got it wrong by investing in millers, unlike in plan of investing that is in farmers.
Serikali hii, wakati nimeingia, nimefanya mambo manne ambayo yanahusikana na mahasla. Jambo la kwanza, nimeweka pesa karibu shilingi bilioni 3.5 kupunguza gharama ya mbolea ambayo inatumika na wakulima wale wa chini. Kufikia sasa, serikali imesajili wakulima milioni 4.5, karibu milioni 5. For the first time, kila mkulima bila ya kubaguliwa alipata mbolea. Leo tumeongeza sehemu ya kuzalisha chakula kwa ekari 1,200 kwa sababu ya incentive ambayo tumetoa kama serikali. Mind you, wale wengi ambao wako katika sekta ya kilimo ni mahasla. Jambo la pili, kwa jambo la ambalo linasumbua sana wa Kenya, jambo la cost of living. Yeah? Ni nini nimefanya katika ile kupunguza hiyo mzigo kwa Wakenya? Kwa sababu kuna mambo mawili. Wale majamaa walikuwa hapa mbele yetu, walifanya subsidy ile inaitwa subsidizing consumption. Walipeleka pesa kwa mamila. Mila hana mahindi yake. Mila ni chuma tu ako nayo na mashini. Zile pesa mimi sasa ndio nalipa. Hawakulipa. Mimi sasa ndio nalipa ile pesa ya subsidy. Unaelewana? Mimi nilifanya nini? Kwa sababu naelewa kwamba shida ni supply and demand. So ile tulifanya ni kwamba tulienda kwa KNTC, tukawapatia treasury ikawapatia letter of support. KCB wakatupatia shilingi bilioni 25. Tukatumia hiyo pesa, sio pesa yetu, ni pesa LC, unapatiwa tu LC. Tukalete mchele, tukaongeza mahindi, tukaongeza mchele, tukaongeza maharagwe, tukalete mafuta ya kupikia. What happened? Ile bei ya unga ilikuwa 230, sasa iko 170, ikiteremka.
And the president went ahead to say that he plans to change the country's health plan, seeking to change that approach from curative to largely promotive and preventive, while speaking on the relationship between the national and the county governments that is on devolved functions. The president says that community health volunteers will be transformed to community health promoters and put on payroll.
We have also agreed with the counties that we are going to have a new paradigm in the delivery of health, that we are going to reduce on curative, we are going to enhance on promotive, and on preventive. Those two, on preventive and promotive. And that's why we have agreed with them that jointly between the national government and the county government, under the new plan that I am pushing, we are going to change what we call today community health volunteers. We're going to change them to community health promoters so that we can pay them a stipend and we can also equip them. We are currently procuring about maybe 2-3 billion worth of equipment for community health promoters. These are close to 100,000 people in Kenya. Okay. And we are going to allocate every community health promoter about 100 homes. So permanently, home to home, they will be visiting. Wako na kitu ya kumesha pressure, ya kumesha sukari, ya kupima kila kitu. You don't have to go to hospital. Na mambo ataanza kukueleza hapa kuna matatizo. Okay. Tafadhali enda hospitali, enda pale dispensary. Okay, so we are changing, and I am very happy with the partnership we have.
And on similar North, health unions have warned that they will go on strike if the Ministry of Health does not resume talks and registration of collective bargaining agreements with counties within the next 60 days. In a joint press statement, the unions noted that the absence of a finalized CBA is causing significant distress among healthcare workers.
Afya power. Power. Comrade power. Power.
Health unions now say that they will down their tools should the Ministry of Health fail to resume talks and registration of the collective bargaining agreements with the county governments within the next 60 days.
We have given this government enough time, and no one should be telling us about the new government, because government is never new. Government is about the policies that are there to be implemented. We feel that our members have denied a right that has been guaranteed to them under Article 41 of the Constitution. And that is the right to fair remuneration, to reasonable working condition, and to be able to enter into a collective bargaining agreement that of course now sums up and provides for that remuneration and the reasonable working environment they are supposed to enjoy.
The unions, which comprised the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, Kenya National Union of Nurses, and Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians, called on the government to prioritize the conclusion of the CBA negotiations and to ensure improved working conditions for workers in the health sector.
Government must find out a clever way of implementing this project, just the way we have put up affordable housing program in South Sea using LAP fund, which is a pension scheme. Wacha serikali iwache mambo ya kujenga manyumba, ifanye kupitia kwa state corporations kama LAP fund, kama LAP trust, kama NSSF, kama public servants superannuation scheme, ifanye hiyo kazi.
Kenya Union of Clinical Officers chairperson Peterson Wachira expressed regret that the toxic environment in which healthcare workers operate has led to an increase in mental health issues among healthcare workers.
I've realized that there are rising cases of mental health emanating from the ever-worsening and toxic environment that healthcare workers are having to work under.
Last month, President William Ruto recommended the formation of a Kenya Human Resource Advisory Council. The council will be tasked with addressing all constant challenges facing the health sector in the country. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
And a crisis has hit the wildlife family after 10 lions were killed in 1 week. The deaths have been attributed to human-lion conflict. Ronnie Regan with more.
This is following the allegations that they entered their residence in Nashipa village, Kajiado County. This happens just a few days after 4 other lions were killed in the same environment, bringing the total number of the lions killed to 10.
Lions 5 kuuawa kwa mahali moja wakikaa tu hivi na kulia na kunyamaza, wanauawa. Lakini vile nilisema, tuliona hiyo ndovu tukafikiri ni hatari, hata hawa wakaona hiyo lions wakafikiri ni hatari. To us, the sight of a lion is danger. Now the first emotional thing to do is to defend yourself. Lakini hawa lions maskini hawakujitetea, maskini hata hawajui vita, maskini wanakaa tu njaa. All were killed. So this problem, it is not this community's problem, kwa sababu hawa hawangeua lion. Na hata hawa lions, normally lion akikula anatoroka anaenda mahali anakaaga. Hawa wanakula, wanakuja kwa shed, hospitali, shule, ofisi ya mtu. Wanakaa tu kwa ofisi tu hivi maskini because wameshiba, so wamerudi nyumbani mahali huwa wanachungwa. So when
the
these
incident is
lions were
alleged to lead
released
to
from
the
an
death
orphanage,
of the oldest lion in Amboseli Park. The lion known as Lokinto, who was 19 years old, was allegedly killed after entering the Binadam village in search of food.
Haikutoa ile sauti ya vita. These lions wamekaa tu subdued. So we are all very sorry for the tragedy. But our first instinct to react in a lion is to defend yourself.
Several days later, 5 lions were also killed in Imbrikani farm after attacking livestock, where 4 other lions met their death in Rombo and Ilkiuku areas in Kajiado County.
Kwa sababu kitu kubwa pia inaumiza watu wetu wengine, hata siongelei Imbrikani tu. watu wetu wanapoumia na kuteseka wakati wa compensation inachukua muda mrefu zaidi. Wakati hao watu wanataka kulipwa ng'ombe zao ama mbuzi ama mtu analipwa kwa sababu ndovu imemuua ama simba imemuua, muda inachukuliwa mrefu zaidi wakati wa kufanya compensation, hata miaka 2 inapita.
Leaders from Kajiado County have come out to condemn the heinous act, as well as asking those tasked to take care of the animal welfare to move with the speed in securing human lives first.
Na hawa wanyama wetu wa utalii wawe pale pia tupate mapato kidogo. Hao simba wakija huku, wakitoroka, muangalie vizuri. Nyinyi nimeona mnajua wale wa vita na wenye si wa vita. Kama ni hao wa kuponyoka na wajielewi, tuwafukuze tu pole. Munipigie simu direct. Muniambie simba wako wamekuja hapa. Mama kuja uchukue hao na wamekula mbuzi zetu. We mama tulipe kwanza.
The authority in their letter states that despite animals often leaving their niche and entering human environment for lack of food, residents should not do things that threaten and violate the lives of animals to live. They say that there are alternative ways to resolve conflict between animals and humans, and that killing them is not a solution. Ronnie Reagan, TV 47.
And as an honor to women, National Police Service, that is in Bungoma, in collaboration with fans of English Premier League teams based in Bungoma County, have donated blood to mark World Mother's Day. That was yesterday, stating that mothers and sicklers are the most affected by lack of blood in the country.
Police officers who work in Bungoma County in collaboration with the Manchester United fans, Chelsea, Arsenal and residents have donated blood to mark World Mother's Day as an honor to mothers' acts of service. Speaking at Wanjandege after the drive, Bungoma Police Commander Francis Cole said that it is only the way of helping other people, especially expectant mothers, accident victims and sicklers.
Tumekuwa hapa kama familia ya Bungoma ili kutoa damu, kuchangia blood bank yetu ili waweze kusiwe na upungufu wa damu. Na tumeanza hii mikakati ili ya kuweza kufikia kaunti nzima ili watu wetu wa kaunti wasije wakalia ukosefu wa damu kwenye benki.
It was an honor to all women donating blood kwa wanawake, kwa sababu utapata saa zingine wanawake wanapoteza damu, hiyo masaa yenye wanaleta uhai, wanazaa watoto.
Kutoa damu haikupunguzi kitu kwa mwili, lakini baadaye itakusaidia kitu kwa mwili yako, hata kama si wewe. Uende saidie jirani, mtoto wako, mtu yote.
Dickens Lubanga, doctor for children at Bungoma County Referral Hospital, says that lack of blood testing kits in Bungoma health facilities has been an issue in service delivery.
Hatuna ile screening program ya kuscreen hiyo damu. Hata sasa hivi tunapotoa hii damu hapa kwenye tunafanya hii donation, hii damu lazima tupeleke Eldoret ili kuwe screened, kwa sababu damu pia huwezi peana tu hivyo inapo after hiyo exercise ya kudonate. So lazima iende Eldoret, waangalie kuna hizi chembe za hepatitis, kuna chembe za sickle cell, kuna ile HIV, waangalie zile magonjwa ambayo wanaweza pitishwa kutoka mtu mmoja hadi mwingine.
On his part, Bungoma Health CEC Andrew Amalwa said that the county is in effort to build a unit for blood transfusion that will reduce transport costs and time wastage for screening. The county has been depending on Kakamega, Eldoret and Kisumu for blood screening.
Miezi 2 imepita hivyo, tumepokea kifaa cha kuweza kutengeneza components za damu kama platelets, plasma, na hizi ni zile ambazo zinaweza kuhifadhiwa kwa muda mrefu kushinda damu ambayo ni fresh kutoka kwa mtu. Na pia Bungoma iko inajenga unit ya blood transfusion ambayo itakuwa ya eneo hili la kipekee, ambayo itakapokamilika itaweza kusafisha damu ili tusiwe napeleka damu Eldoret ama Kisumu ama Kakamega.
The blood drive was able to collect 80 pints of blood, and Bungoma as a whole needs 1,000 pints monthly. Elsewhere, Bungoma women dubbed Rise for Women Agenda Bungoma had Widow Smile for the day, many narrating how they are facing economic hardships.
Mimi ni mama mchane na nilikuwa sichapatako kitu chochote, lakini nimeshukuru wamama wamenitembelea.
Wamama wachane wako na shida sana,
Ningependa hawa wamama wafanyie kitu kama wapate Kongo, kitu kama pesa kwa mfuko.
Wanji Sostin, TV47, Bungoma.
And Colombia Vice President Francia Elena Marquez Mina is in the country for a 3-day official visit that is aimed at boosting existing bilateral ties between the two countries. The Vice President arrived Sunday evening and will be hosted by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and the two leaders are set to explore various ways to strengthen the relations enjoyed by the two countries. And of course, the Vice President of Colombia was received at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Sunday by East Africa Community and Regional Development Cabinet Secretary, that is Rebecca Miano. The VP's visit follows a memorandum of understanding on political consultations signed by the two countries in 2021, whose main objective is enhancing the partnership and engagements existing between them. Well, certainly a developing story that we'll give you updates on. But for now, allow us to take a quick short break and we come back with more.
You are watching TV47, the home of Untold Stories.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story. Nikifika watu wangu watu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku. Katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii Mwisho wa Kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest part of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you'll never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Disability is a club that anyone can join.
I live with special needs. It means I have a limitation. There are things I can't be able to do personally myself.
And in our journey to talk about disability, we tell the stories of those with disabilities and even sit with specialists to understand what it means for those affected directly and indirectly.
Everybody's life, mine has also been faced with ups and downs.
if it becomes a self-stigmatized thing where you feel like you are judging yourself too harsh, you blame yourself, and you perceive that it happened because you failed.
Join me, Zainab Mohammed, on Beyond the Limit every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
An entrepreneur is defined as someone who has the ability and desire to establish, administer, and succeed in a startup venture along with the risks entitled to it to make profits.
I'm a professional financier with a professional
of untold stories.
I am with Professor after a very long time. I know he's been here with a son. I was away kidogo, but I am back, and it's good to have you, Prof.
Thank you very much.
How have you been faring on?
Very well. A lot of things are happening, and of course, so many changes since you interviewed me before. I was a professor in Strathmore, not anymore.
And what? Yeah.
So a lot of changes taking place. Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, perhaps for the good, and sometimes we might not see the good almost immediately. Sometimes it sounds like it's unfair, but then eventually, the bigger picture is that it's always for the good, and so there must be something.
Yeah, actually,
better.
I've been telling people that if you have no crisis in your life, you should go kneel before God and ask God, don't you trust me? Why didn't you give me something to challenge me? And Linda, I've seen like 8 crises in life, and every time they come, it's painful.
Right.
A crisis, even from bad to good, is painful. Even if you move from now, if you get promoted to a higher position, you'll feel the crisis of transition. But nevertheless, you have to take time and give God a chance. And I'm a strong believer in God. And I believe that this one is going to come out well. How it will come out well, that's not my business.
Right.
My business is to wake up, pray to God, and do what I need to do. And I'm sure God is going to find a way for me.
Prof, the first time you spoke about that was on TV47.
Yes.
About the possibility of you not being a lecturer at the Strat. And I know this is not what we're supposed to discuss here, but is this something that you would wish to tell Kenyans about? Because I will tell you for free. Upon that declaration, I received 1,000,001 messages. Unaona professor, watu wananiambianga professor wako ndio, unaona professor wako sasa, and it sounded as though it was because of the aspect of politics. Is this something that you want to discuss, or we say?
No, I should be very open about it because there's Linda, I believe in life, as people have been telling me that why don't you keep it private, personal, and the rest? This is not a personal thing, Linda. Look, I've been teaching students in Strathmore. I've taught over 1 million executives. Sometimes people want to say I should keep quiet. Some of them call me for help. Fred, could you help me with this? Yet for me, I'm quiet. I don't want to say I'm not in Strathmore. I must say it so that they know, so that sometimes people don't bother me by saying, I would like you to help me with this. I help some people to get at least admission in the school. I market the university. So now people need to come on and say that I'm not there anymore. At the same time, look here. Termination, in the terms that have been terminated, by someone putting in your CV a gross misconduct. Linda, people can say that I should sympathize with Strathmore and keep quiet and not talk about it because I can destroy their reputation, isn't it? When someone puts a termination clause in your contract, now I cannot go and get a job somewhere now. If I want to apply to USIU, they'll tell me Strathmore needs to give a recommendation. They're put in termination saying I've committed a gross misconduct. It is baseless, so what I'm waiting for is an appeal to Strathmore, telling them I don't agree with their statements. So it's upon them to come out clearly and tell me, yes, they agree with me that it is not what they thought, or they say we keep our position.
So that means if they rescind that position, you would stay? You still work with them?
Well, yes, I would like to work for them because it's an institution I love, Linda. I've been with them on here. Sometimes I've been standing and saying that Strathmore has gotten this, that,
numerous positions.
Yes, numerous occasions. So no one can say I have anything against it. I work for this university since I finished my PhD. It's the first place I worked I worked there for 12 years. You can see there's so much I've done for the university. So I would stay. Of course, people will have to agree. The people have forgiven. I'm a Christian. Strathmore is a Christian institution. So I guess on their side they can also find that people can work. So for me, I would like to say, but if they keep their position that they were right, the no termination in gross misconduct must be determined by court, so that the court can also see whether they're right.
So you'll escalate it to the court?
Of course we have to go, because when someone puts termination clause in your contract, Linda, look at here. Look at what is painful here. I have invested nearly a longer period of time to build my CV.
Yeah.
I have 5 undergraduate degrees. I have 2 master degrees. I have a PhD. I have 14 international with World Bank and other institutions certification. How can someone just kill that if it's baseless? Would you keep quiet?
Why would you consider that baseless? What is this one thing that they speak of? When they say gross misconduct, what exactly are they referring to? Your political position or what?
They have 2 things which they have stated there. One, they have stated that I've committed what is called insubordination to my senior. Insubordination here means that, I hosted ESS students from Spain in Radisson Blu. I invited the media. They were there. They were informed media will cover an event. So they were also speaking in this very event. I even received a message from my senior saying, thank you very much for the speech you made on behalf of the business school. Nevertheless, send us the media coverage clip. We edit before air. So I responded and said, I've taught media people. You know them.
This cannot be about
I'm a corporate leader. I'm a corporate governance certified by World Bank. I cannot be able to do what I know is unethical, is against the media procedure and policy. You understand? So when I stated that, that was insubordination, because I was supposed to obey my boss, break law, be unethical, go against media procedure, to do what my boss wants, just to please. And I can't do that today, I can't do it tomorrow.
And especially if it wasn't paid for.
Yes. Then second, then of course you see, KBC, which is a media house, has already written to Strathmore telling them that whatever they ask me is against the media law and policy. The second thing is that they told me that I secured a job somewhere as a dean. I told them I was never there. I'm never a dean anywhere.
A different institution
In
now.
a different institution. How would I be having a job as a dean and I'm here battling unemployment? You understand? How would I? If I was a dean in DRC, would you be getting time to interview me here?
Maybe no.
So then the school that they said I was a dean has written a letter to Strathmore telling them that I was never hired as a dean. There was no intention to hire me as a dean. They were only having conversation of possible asking me to be a management consultant to them to help them set up. So Linda, do you want me to sit back here and say Strathmore has fired me with gross misconduct? I say back and said, I can't do anything because Strathmore is a very good institution. And someone fires me on Holy Thursday. Holy Thursday is a holy day even for Strathmore. How do you do such an unholy act in baseless things? So when I told the people that according to me, there is some question we need to ask. Why are we here? Because these things are not making sense. I asked them in my response letter. I explained to them those things with the evidence that this could have been one of my colleagues. We don't want to say entire Strathmore, but could have been 1 or 2 colleagues because there's corporate politics. People don't want your success, so they come up with something. And when they come up with something, they make it political. I told them, don't allow politics to trump performance. I have a track record of my performance. Students rate me around 96% satisfaction in class. I have a lot of publications. Every year I do 3-4 publications. I've done books. I've given you my books. 2 of them, I share them. That's a year book. I'm doing 2 this year. I have over 4,000 articles, always signing out as Strathmore lecturer. All those things, they should look at how I brought the institution of visibility to them and consider that let's not politics trump performance.
I wish we had a representative from Strathmore to respond to this. I have not been able to look at the documentation, but then I'll take your word for what it is that you say, and perhaps allow us to leave it at that so that we are not unfair to them that as well would be respondents in this very case. But we can only hope that your appeal then is listened to if there's some ground to your argument, Professor. And I hope then, again, it's got nothing to do with the political situation and the fact that you always hear and blatantly speaking
Yeah,
about
actually, Linda,
the
that's
issues
what
of
I
the
have to
country.
clarify here, that people have been saying
it's got
that
something
when
to do with
when people have been fired, they say, is it because your political comments? But I tell them that is only rumors. That's what I tweeted last time, that I said at K24 that I was bringing issues. It's only rumors. If the truth is the truth, let us wait when they come back and tell me it is because of political. But the reasons are not political. There are 2 reasons I've given. There's no politics about it. Those could only be rumors. And I'm sure that people want to understand that there's no connection between my comments. And we have been here with Professor Macharo Munene. He comes from USIU. He makes the same comments. Has he been fired? I don't think so. So I don't think that they should be reading statements there that is political. I was just trying to say people can think.
But you saw this coming quite a long time ago.
Yeah, because let me tell you, Linda, I have 5 warning letters from Strathmore. Show cause letter, this is the second one. So attempt to dismiss has been there for a long period of time.
But 5 letters, Prof, hata kama wanakuonea na wewe pia.
No, but you see, the thing is that they brought these letters, the boss who was making decisions, the VC before was John Odhiambo. Whenever they brought this in, because let's understand here the structure. There's the university, then there's the business school. The politics in the business school. So the business school accuses you before the university, you should be dismissed. Then the university looks and says baseless and throw it away. Which means there's been a political thing that has been there for a long period of time. They remember that the VC leaves office on Thursday, a new VC takes place on Thursday, and the next Thursday you are dismissed. Are you seeing a coincidence there?
Well, quite
so
interesting.
it means that there must be something that can't be explained. But I'm sure that everybody listening, these are facts. I can show you the appeal. There are all documents there with all the records. Evidence is there. It's been shared with them. They look at it. The appeal was supposed to be determined by last week on Friday, because they gave it 1 month. When you appeal, it takes 1 month for them to respond according to the guidelines. 1 month has elapsed. I've not heard from them. So today we'll issue a letter of a demand letter that they should actually make decision in 7 days. Of course, not demand letter, we are going to court so that we can take the process. No one will have a hit on such a CV and just ignore. So we have to take the legal process.
Professor, all the best. You see,
you.
Prof is a friend of the show, and I think some of these matters very important that we speak to. And again, the ground is open equally for Strath. If we would see it necessary and important to as well come and respond to some of the things that you have told us this morning. But we can only wish you nothing but the best. Constitutional lawyer Ndegwa Njiru is here with us. We're just trying to catch up with Prof. Before the 2 other gentlemen join us. So Wakili is here. Thank you so much for creating time to be here with us.
We missed you.
We missed you more.
Yes.
We've not met after I came back from
we haven't met
leave.
since
then. It's good. I'm happy
yes.
to have you. Karibu sana. So, how have you been?
I've been well. I've also been following Professor's plight. I think those are some of those things that happens in job markets. And I agree with him that he needs to fight it out so that he clears the airs that not every Tom, Dick and Harry thinks that he actually misconducted himself. So it's a fight that he must fight to its logical conclusion because he needs to redeem the years that he has invested in his CV. And the only way he can redeem is through the mechanism that he has initiated. Should he think that he needs more boost in terms of legal representation, I'll offer myself because he has also offered himself to the Kenyans. I would qualify to be Prof's student if I were in Strathmore. So he will have that benefit of representation as and when time calls. Prof, you don't have to worry. There are so many people who identify with your plight. And like you said, we view Strathmore from a very, very different lens. If there is any injustice that we expected that would be perpetrated, at least we never thought it should emerge from Strathmore. So it's also Strathmore, they're also in a test in this particular case for Professor, that they need to redeem themselves and tell us that this is a Strathmore that we have always known, and that the Strathmore has not changed with the changing of the times. You know, Kenya is undergoing a very serious situation whereby the truth is no longer valued. Integrity is a thing of the past. The rule of the law is only relevant when you are speaking about it, not to it. So we do not think that Strathmore needs to be subsumed in that confusion of affairs, so that they need to listen to that appeal very concretely. I've personally seen that appeal. It's a very, very appealing appeal and very convincing appeal.
Okay.
Professor shared that appeal with me just for consultation and advice, and I would vouch for him. As a lawyer, I would vouch for him.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
All right. Once again, the ground is open. I can only hope that we would get also, a representative from Strath as well, to make some of these things clear for purposes of clarity to the people of Kenya and to the numerous, people that identify with Strathmore University. Gentlemen, allow us to take a quick short break and then we come to the business of the day. Thank you.
Yep.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Nothing is more fulfilling than learning in an institution that understands your career needs. At Equip Africa Institute, which is a Tibet Authority accredited institution affiliated to Mount Kenya University, we offer competitive, market-driven programs in a serene environment. You can undertake diploma, certificate, and artisan programs, and our entry grade is C and below. You can also pursue a driving course at Equip Africa Driving School. Enroll in any...
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story. Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you'll never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV 47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Disability is a club that anyone can join.
I live with special needs. It means I have a limitation. There are things I can't be able to do personally myself.
And in our journey to talk about disability, we tell the stories of those with disabilities and even sit with specialists to understand what it means for those affected directly and indirectly.
Everybody's life, mine has also been faced with ups and downs.
If it becomes a stigmatized thing where you feel like you are judging yourself too harsh. You blame yourself, and you perceive that it happened because you failed.
Join me, Zainab Mohammed, on Beyond the Limit every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
An entrepreneur is defined as someone who has the ability and desire to establish, administer, and succeed in a startup venture along with the risks entitled to it to make profits.
I'm a professional financier with a professional paper in banking. However, for fashion, it's something I've always loved ever since I was small.
Started as a baby business. It was all about, you have your machines, the haircuts, wear the heads, bring the scalps.
We wanted something that would remind us about prayer every now and then. So the moment you mention Talit, we always think about prayer because Talit Cakes is founded on prayer.
Get to learn more about these entrepreneurs and what makes them stand out in
is
their
here with
field
us.
every month.
Mheshimiwa Sunday,
Thank you.
thank you so much for creating time.
Asante sana.
And he says that Wakili here is a good Wakili but a bad politician.
Yes,
Wakili has been playing politics for quite a while here.
Politics.
Is it?
I'm seriously indicted, but you see, I decided to play politics that is based on principle.
Okay.
Like I'm not just be swayed away because I want to become an MP, I want to become an MCA or a governor whatsoever. If there is a popular party and that party does not identify with my ideology, my principle, even if it means that there is a particular party which is trailing behind that popular party that I don't identify with, I'll go for the party that I identify with. Because for me, it's not just about being elected. It's about being elected on a foundation where you're able to deliver. You see, in Mount Kenya region in 2022, there was a very popular political party, the UDA.
Yeah.
But look at the quality of the individuals who went into that political party. Can I tell you, Linda, the other day I was here complaining about the prices of coffee, the prices of macadamia, the prices of avocado. Do you know we have members of parliament who are elected through UDA in Mount Kenya region who came and promised people that they are going to initiate the minimum guarantee return, that our coffee will have value, our tea will have value, avocados will have value. Do you know what? And macadamia? When Uhuru was president, a kg of macadamia was going for 150.
Okay.
8 months later, the same kg of macadamia is going for 30 shillings. When Uhuru was president, a kg of coffee was going for 128, 130. 8 months later, a kg is varying from 70 shillings, 80 shillings to 60 to 30 shillings.
Are you saying that that's an undoing of the Kenya Kwanza government?
It is not true.
You're not a coffee farmer.
Let's give him 30 seconds and then we come back to you.
I'm informed. I'm a coffee farmer.
He's not a coffee farmer.
He's informed, he says.
I'm informed.
Yes.
Actually about macadamia.
I do not, I grant you the benefit that you may or you may not be informed. But the fact of the matter is, I am a farmer who is currently selling macadamia at 30 shillings.
And I'll tell you why.
So you see, I am only addressing one issue. If you told us you'll give us the minimum guarantee return, where is that promise? The farmers are asking, where is the promise for the minimum guarantee return? If I get that answer in affirmative, I'll be satisfied.
How many months into it? And
8
the
months
president extensively speaks to the question of agriculture yesterday.
8 months down the line, they are still saying they met empty coffers. And then I keep on asking myself some very fundamental question. If today I'm a parent and I'm blessed of a son or a daughter, and I realize 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line, 6 months down the line, I'm supposed to be winning this baby. The baby is not showing any signs of growth, any progressive signs of growth. Linda,
there's a problem.
Will you not look for a pediatrician to examine that child.
And I think, Wakili, the president acknowledges that there is a problem. Sandy, you want to respond to that?
Na, first of all, ambia Wakili.
Kwanza habari yako na habari ya masikini.
Asante. Thank you,
these politicians are friends. And we clearly saw that over the weekend.
Yes,
so let nobody lie to you that these ones are not friends.
Wakili here is actually, I mentored this Wakili. When he was still young from the university, he was vibrant. And he came to NAC Kenya party, where I was the executive director and later the NEC member. Yeah. And we've worked with him. He is a brilliant lawyer, even from
so we say that
siasa yake
you failed as a teacher.
Siasa ndio mbaya. No, he is a bad student.
If he's your protege, really.
Let me start by saying this. First of all, you cannot, Bwana Wakili, you must accept. Hata mwanamke awe amekupenda namna gani, na amekubali, na umemuoa, and you live with her, and she wants to give you babies, it has to be 9 months.
Yeah.
She can never be anything short of that is an abortion. Secondly, so you must first of all accept that. Secondly, even now we are still working on the budget that is Uhuru handshake budget.
Yeah.
We have not done as of now our own budget.
Yeah.
We are still working with the measurements.
Wakili, that's a fact. Don't look at me as though he's not stating facts. That's a fact.
First of all,
that is a fact.
Thirdly, when he is talking about macadamia, actually the truth, I've just come from Tarakanidi, where I was over the weekend. And I carried enough of macadamia from
and you didn't carry a
from
Sam.
Mutana, and I have it in my car.
Okay.
From Mutani, Njoka Mutani, the late Njoka Mutani's home in Nithi. And the truth, even the farmers that I met there, they are not blaming this government. No. The problem of that region was the competition between the team of Embu, led by the former Governor Wambora's initiative, and the team of Django from Thika. That's the competition in between. This is what has affected them. The truth of the matter, yes, the macadamia before August, way before August, the macadamia was 200, 150. It has come to 30, 50 shillings per kg. The reason is their own internals. But right now, this government, led by Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president, he is working on it.
Okay.
And in fact, I asked them, so mbona msitoi hii? Wakasema, no. We have now seen the light. The things are coming.
So they're positive. It's contradictory to hear Wakili, who is a farmer of macadamia, saying that, you know what, we are looking at this baby and we are worried that, you know, the milestones are not as we would expect them. But on the other side, Sande says, you know what, the farmers are well aware that this could have been an undoing of the previous government, and they're positive that the current government is doing something towards that. What would you make of it? And perhaps you and I, without proper knowledge of this whole macadamia business.
You know, Linda, yesterday, just to talk from the point that Wakili has said, yesterday the president said something very interesting, that when he was asked, why do you have this all CAS when it is not good for the economy? And he said, it is a personal decision I've taken. Because these people are put here, there are people who understands my politics, understands my budget, understand the budget, the money I have, understand the policy of Kenya Kwanza. So it is a personal decision, and I believe that I will deliver with them. So let no one start judging on a bloated government. Now, Wakili was trying to say here that the people of Kenya Kwanza who are elected because of UDA are not really able to help UDA. So the question is that, is the president right by saying that even the people elected in UDA really understands him? And I listened to the president. Economically, he seems to have a convincing way on which he can say 1 + 1 is equal to 2. But when you listen to many people in Kenya Kwanza, they are not able to be that articulate. Remember the story that happened when Kenya Kwanza had just launched this thing called bottoms up. Then one day, what is
bottom up?
Yes, bottoms up.
Bottom up.
Bottom up,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, not bottoms.
Remember this lady, what's her name?
Linda, you should be fast to correct that.
It is fair enough. I understood.
Yes.
You know, sometimes, these ones that sit on the other side, and I don't know what the other side is.
Yes.
It is Linda Ugatuzi and all that.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would want to bring in some bit of mimicry there. So, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the lady, I don't know what her name was, called to the media and was asked, you talk about bottom up. What is it? Then she could not explain. She was saying it is top from bottom and then bottom to up. So it means that people didn't understand. Actually, President William Ruto gave his economic team advisors to take all the candidates of Kenya Kwanza to educate them on the Kenya Kwanza economic manifesto. I think after that we started seeing them now commenting a little bit in a way to show some bit of understanding.
Yeah.
So what I can say is that the 2022 election was more about the economy at the epicenter of the campaign. And unfortunately, Kenyans didn't elect leaders who understand the economy. Go to your MCA, go to your senator, go to your MPs. In parliament, only 0.2% of them actually can articulate well economic policies. Most of them are lawyers who have no commercial knowledge. Or secondly, they are just businessmen who had money to buy their seats into parliament.
Okay.
So I'm saying that is the challenge that the president faces. That's why even this finance bill, they have to give a retreat to these MPs and explain to them exactly what is the finance bill. It should not have been called finance bill, should be called a tax bill. So if you look at what I'm trying to say here is that Wakili is right by saying we are not judging the president based on what is happening. We are judging the president on one. What did you promise Kenyans? And then what are we seeing? Okay. The same question came yesterday. Is it by 1st of June we expect fuel to go down, this to go down? The way he said, give me more time. On 1st of June we shall bring it to happen. Yesterday he said, that depends on if the finance bill is passed or not, which means that he cannot say this and stick by it. And then last but not least, the issues of cost of living is about a decision that can be made overnight and change. But the president is saying he does not want to have a quick fix. He's looking for a long-term plan. So according to me, I would like to say the following, and this is in all fairness. Okay. The president campaigned on a platform of turning around the economy. If he comes to office and finds out that this cannot be done in the first 1 year, he has 5 years. And I want to tell Kenya Kwanza people and UDA, don't ask that, give us time. You have 5 years. After 5 years, Kenyans will come back and say, did you do anything about this economy? What is the scorecard of the president after 5 years? So we are not even talking about 1st of June. No one will take him out of office until 2027. In fact, even if Raila team were thinking they would, it was impossible legally, even with force, even with forex, it was not possible. So they have 5 years to be able to execute this mandate. The only question we're asking, as we give you 5 years, what could we have lost? Will you now come after 5 years when the economy has been managed that we cannot now recover? Or people dying of hunger today, those who are suffering can't go to school today. Will you suspend their life for 5 years so that we can come and check your scorecard? So the one thing is that you have 5 years. In fairness, let us allow you to do it. The second part is that enough? And then the most important point I want to bring across this, which is very key, is that if you understand how the economy is being run now, are we listening to the president and finding there's truth in what he's trying to say? There's something we have to remove here as a misnomer, that we found empty coffers. Linda, a government account is not run like a personal account where you have a savings account. So you own money. You have put money in a savings account. You can always keep 20 million there if you want, isn't it? But a government don't have that money. The government removes money from KRA or from the loan and take them to consolidate a fund. Then it moves to somewhere. There's nothing like
you will come in and get something.
When Gachagua says we found empty coffers, which it was supposed to be empty. So there was
Is it so?
Yes,
Is it
yes,
so?
yes, yes.
Is it so?
Let me just finish. It was supposed to be empty. If he says there is, he should tell us which account, which bank in which branch does Kenya save money that you can find when it is full? Because this is very clear that when money is given from KRA, he let him tell us the process. I understand, I'm an economist.
And then, yes.
When money comes from KRA, where does it go?
When Samia Suluhu, and I'm just trying to speak this as a common Kenyan, yeah, who comes out to say that at least we have something to keep us going for the next, I don't know
there
how much
reserves,
the event of
there are
crisis.
reserves,
Yes.
but they're not like the one I'm talking about. They're gold reserves. Let me tell you how, let me give you a previous analogy.
Okay.
When you are in Kisumu and you are supposed to take a bus going to Busia, normally the conductor and the driver fills the passenger's vehicle.
Yeah.
Then they drive you to the petrol station. Then they collect fare. You understand? Then they fuel the car, then they drive you. That's when they have capital to operate. That's how it works.
Okay.
It's the same way the government works. They were supposed to come that day. Kenya collects 9 billion in revenue per day from KRA, isn't it? Every Thursday, the government borrows 25 billion shillings every Thursday. Even this Thursday, they do the same. So that money is taken the consolidated what? Fund.
Okay.
After that, then they start spending it. So according to me, let him tell us the process because I understand it.
Wakili, I'll come back to you,
Yes,
but shortly, let's allow Sunday speak to this. And even again, on a layman's perspective, Mheshimiwa Sunday, you are talking about a budget of 3-point-something trillion and, collection that is way below that. And so if this collection is way below that, then we run into debt. And so that means even sustaining our very own budgets, we really are not able to. So what is this money that you expect to get once you get to government, when we can't even sustain our own budget and we have had to run to debt?
First of all, we must dissuade Professor Dr.
And that's why I'm asking this question, so that you can help
the
us.
Professor is a teacher who should tell the students that the consolidated fund that he's talking about is where the money, the government money is kept.
Yeah.
It's not in Barclays and what have you. And secondly, Professor should tell Kenyans that the empty coffers, that what is the difference? The difference is how Kibaki left the government. When Kibaki left the government to Akina Uhuru, he left money.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
There was money, and in fact, the debt, national debt, public debt was way
manageable.
Low. Was manageable. Even Moi, by the way, and maybe thanks to the fact that alikuwa amefungiwa by the international community from borrowing, he left very little debt. Today, by the time these guys are coming into government, first of all, the public debt in terms of even procurement, people who had not been paid, it was burdensome. People who had just supplied government. The government had almost borrowed from people in a way that was mischievous. You borrow service, you borrow procurement, everything, even construction. Some of these things had been done on debt from the local person. So it is true this government found an empty government. Coffers, bure, anything. Hakuna kitu. Where are we getting the money? What you are asking? The president talked about it yesterday. Actually, our revenue collection is at 12%, 14% of the GDP. And comparatively, when you want to compare with our other countries, friendly peers like South Africa and what have you, they are in over 20.
Yeah.
And
but then the question was, do they get value for money upon this collection? And I mean, contrary to what happens.
Of course, if you want to even compare, but then they get value for money. South Africa, we are saying, South Africa, Tunisia, Morocco are high. That is for sure. Water is provided, electricity is provided, roads are done. You understand? We can no longer continue crying about our taxes are so high, whereas we don't, when we touch it just a little bit, there is hue and cry all over. And yet we want services. Yet we want roads. Yet we want electricity, which must be serviced. The government has no any other source of money. The source of money is our taxes. When Kibaki came in, he said, what was the adage? lipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. That is what we can only do.
Okay.
We must streamline, we must increase on our collection. We must make sure that it comes in timely and it comes in enough to do all these things so that now we're free. Like what Kibaki Uhuru did last minute. You want to finish the highway, you go to NCBA and get those bonds that are short term. All of them are now maturing. That's what now.
These are the empty coffers that we talk about. How do we manage
now
this?
has to struggle to start paying these short-term bonds of 180 days, 200.
Wakili.
Let nobody think that this country is its own property. Even when we go and borrow this money, it is being borrowed against the collateral that Kenyans have given. They believe that Kenyans are capable of repaying this money. At least we're able to see where the money that was borrowed has been appropriated. We're able to see the expressway. We're able to see so many other, we're able, for those guys who go to Kirinyaga, like myself, we're able to see a dual carriage that is serving the people, and so many other things that have expanded this economy.
But Wakili, we cannot, celebrate that, and we're looking at prices, and I mean, look at what they were talking about, the SGR,
what Uhuru did,
and what they were talking about, the expressway, that it was extremely expensive. What
Uhuru did, and Uhuru did not do it in exclusion of William Ruto. What William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta did for the 10 years they were in power.
Not 10 years.
For the 10 years. For the 10 years they were in power.
Actually 6.
Sunday, would you give me an opportunity?
Yes. I know I'm correcting that.
Fair enough.
For the 10 years they were in power, is that they invested heavily in the infrastructural adjustments. The expansion of the infrastructure in Kenya creates an ample business environment. For example, I'm able to move from here to JKIA within 15 minutes. That is ease of doing government. Now, the subsequent government should come and think, how do we make use of these infrastructures now so that we can recoup our investment? For example, when you do a dual carriage from Nairobi to Kirinyaga, then you must understand that this dual carriage is leading to an entirely agricultural area. You ask yourself, how do we boost agriculture in this region so that the investment in the roads can be recouped? You understand? But now what we are having is, we are having a government that has come. The only thing it has focused on is what is called affordable housing. They are even doing affordable housing in my village called Kianyaga. Kianyaga is a village town. And a village town, 99.9% of the people who go to Kianyaga every morning comes from their home. And do you know what? Affordable housing is being implemented in Kianyaga.
You're trying to say that is not a priority
in Kirogwea town, where I come from, they are also doing affordable housing. 99.9% of the residents of Kirogwea are locals who come from their houses.
And I mean, how urban are these houses? Because then we are moving into that space where we'll totally be urbanized, and we have to match up to that.
But you see, I believe there are some measures and some indexes that indicates how how spontaneous or expontaneous a town grows, right? If you go to those indexes and look at Kirogwea, Kirogwea is not growing, is dwindling. If you go to a place like Nguruvani, that is a town that is growing. But look at what we are doing. So what I'm trying to say is, you are giving us what we do not need. In Kirinyaga, we need to expand manufacturing in value addition towards agriculture.
Is that not what the president said yesterday? That really he is on a mission of,
But you see, the unfortunate thing about my friend William Ruto is that he has double speaks. You can never believe in what he says. In fact, somebody yesterday said that if lying or speaking untruthfulness was a game at the Olympics, then President William Ruto would.
No, that is not true. That is not true because
Kenyans have believed in President William,
and that's why they gave him the vote.
Undisputedly be the champion.
And that's why
you know why?
The vote.
This guy comes and tells us he goes to Mombasa, gets a company for gas. He says, you know what, guys, we have hit a gold mine.
Okay.
In June, on the 1st of June, a cylinder for 6 kgs will be going for 300 to 500. A cylinder, right? For gas.
June haijafika, wakili.
What? But you see, we have an answer that do not wait for June.
No.
I was not speaking about gas. I was speaking about cylinder.
No,
Yet, the factory that was opened in Mombasa was not a cylinder manufacturing company. It was a gas
President William Ruto.
First of all, let's correct that. No, we must correct this first. First of all, the gas we are talking about, there is no gas company in Mombasa. The gas that came into Mombasa is from Tanzania, and all of us knew that that was the concession. And the gas is coming. Secondly, this is not a country of a banana republic. The president explained very well. He put it in the
was he not aware when he made the promise?
First of all,
was he not aware, Sunday? Was he not aware when he made the promise?
Exactly.
Was he not aware?
And I think the president was asked yesterday.
Yes, that's what I'm explaining.
Is it that you were misadvised, and I think this is on a general perspective, or you refused to take advice?
No, the president answered. I haven't.
Sunday, make it let's allow Sunday. Let's allow
that he spoke for himself yesterday. No.
I am here from that government. Yes, the president is all of us. This government is all of us.
Yes.
And I'm from from Kenya Kwanza government, and we know it's a policy of the government.
Make it brief so
the president said he expected this what do we call that budget, the supplementary budget, to go through, and it was included. But when it went in, there were a lot of other laws that needed to be aligned. For example, in this bill, right now there are proposals on shifting of some taxes from kerosene to booster the gas, and are shifting around, aligning the budget to make it work. And that's what the president explained yesterday. And he said now it is properly in the bill. This is not a dictatorship. This is not a dictatorship. This is a government that must follow the law. It has to go to the floor. It has to pass on the floor of the house.
Just to mention one thing.
You know, these guys were in Kenya Kwanza, sorry.
That we were glued to the TV. Yeah. We listened to what the president said. Every single thing that he said. And the question of the gas, zero.
Professor,
sorry.
I hope this is clear. I hope, is Professor audible? Yes, proceed.
So, first of all, you have to know these guys were in Kenya together, so they have a lot to talk about together, so you have to moderate.
They have a lot of catching up.
So I hope one day you'll also mentor me as a politician, because it's nice. But let me put the following into perspective. One, which is very important, is that the issue of the promises the president made. And you must remember that the president is a politician, at the same time the head of the economy. Yeah. And he has to do a lot of balancing there. Remember, Kibaki was a very good economist, but very poor politician. Can you imagine, with all the development Kibaki did, he almost missed to be a president. In fact, his second term was just difficult to get back, because he over-focused on the economy and ignored a bit of politics. And I can tell you, there's what we call political economy. So you have to balance the two things.
And should it not be a plus that we now have a president who's probably, balancing the both?
So I'm saying, the only problem which is at the moment is that the president has started with more of the political side
than the economics.
Maybe the economy is coming later, but at the moment, that's not coming. Then
allow us to take a quick short break, and we're coming back to that, and perhaps ask the very same question that he was asked. Is it that from the onset he's not been well advised, or is he ignoring advice? And what exactly do you mean when you say that he has focused much on the political aspect of it and not the economics? After this short break.
You are watching TV 47, home of untold stories.
But I know that meat looks
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story. Nikifika watu wangu watu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat.
And it is important, Waishimiwa, that we look into this matter and perhaps just try and unpack what it is that, and you know, I called you Steve and you just allowed for it to sleep. I don't know why.
No,
I think it was Wakili. I was talking about Wakili before we got on air. And you just accepted that verse is well.
I'm always easy. Yes.
Okay, well, okay, now Fred Ogola. So we come back to you.
Yeah, so I was trying to say that the president has to balance the economic and the economics and politics, because if you go one way and ignore the other, you can still not be a good leader.
Yeah.
And Kibaki was a very, very good economist, but not very good politician. Moi was a very good politician, not very good economist. And we find that, I don't want to talk about Uhuru because Uhuru's legacy is still to be unfolding. And at the moment, because it's very political, I'll leave it there. I'm just comparing presidents here. So what I mean by this is that there's one thing you have to understand. President Ruto ran for president first time and won. And then secondly, he was struggling with the issue of getting accepted because guys were thinking that if Uhuru was supposed to endorse him, like they had agreed on Kumi, Uhuru could have given him the social capital he needed to become president without a lot of resistance. But remember that he had to go against the grain and build his own social capital. Yeah. And you know, if the social capital was anything that can be measured in numbers, Raila could have talked of more social capital because he has run more. He has ever been voted as a president. So he has where to start with. So he had more social capital. Ruto didn't have a lot of social capital. When he went to office, remember, people are not even accepting him as president. His legitimacy was still in question. And this one you win by winning politically. So he had to give emphasis in politics, and that's why you see, I talk about the issue of 50 CAS instead of 23. They are in every county, there is one. You look at the CS he appointed, look at the PS he appointed. They don't look people can do economic turnaround. They are looking at people whom he says, I appoint them, I made a personal decision because they understand me. They understand what I want. They understand the budget I have. They understand my policy. They are my loyalists. If you look at all state corporations, he's going to appoint everyone there and change so many things, so many changes. Yeah. People have talked about colonialization of the nation. And you say, Gachagua was saying yesterday, we're in this government by choice. We voted for this government. And if we are many, what is wrong with it? So you see that the first of all was to ensure that if he looks at KRA, my guy is there. Parliament, Moses Wetangula is there. In these state corporations, my guy is here, my guy is there. In all these CSS, I have everybody from every county in Kenya. So that is actually getting the political goodwill from these people. Because let me tell you what, Don't underestimate this. The fact that Gumbo is in Siaya and Ota is in Kisumu and that Kidero is in Homa Bay, you look at the numbers in the election, you'll see that they will have gained some grounds. Mheshimiwa here is in charge of recruiting people in Western Kenya, coordination.
Are you saying that the president has already hit the ground campaigning, and therefore it's a 10-year term?
I can tell you without...
It's a 10-year...
Yes, I can tell you without a thing that President Ruto is a very smart politician. Okay. And in fact, if you look at it, Raila will find it harder to beat him in 2027 than it was.
You still believe that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga will be on the ballot?
When I mean Raila here, means anyone from Azimio.
Okay.
But most likely Raila is running. Why I'm saying so is that there is no politician there's no politician in Azimio that has what Raila has.
Okay.
Kalonzo will be starting with 950,000 votes. Raila will be giving it with 6.9 million. You tell me whether it is easy to give it to Kalonzo. When Raila is still alive and is looking strong the way he is, he should be the candidate for Azimio. If they make a different decision, I'll be so surprised.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, I'm trying to say that the president has got that right. Then the second point I wanted to bring about here is about the issue of the issue of low debt. You see, when Moi, we talk about President Moi, we come to Kibaki, then we come to Ruto, it is true that there was nothing like empty coffers, like I said before. But what is another thing which is true that you need to know today is that what Uhuru did, that if the president complains about President William Ruto, if he complains about, I can agree, Uhuru used the Kenyan credit card to the ceiling. He borrowed to the maximum. I remember his speech in Uhuru Gardens. He said, I borrowed, I invested in it, and I request the next guy to borrow. So he didn't put it like, let's say, in secret.
Yeah.
So the borrowing he did is affecting the government in terms of repayment of that debt. And the president says something. No, there are some things the president said that you have to be happy about. One thing I was happy about, he told me, I will not allow Kenya to go the way of faulting on repayment. Okay. He said, not when I'm president.
All right.
That was a good assurance. The second thing you have to do with the president, what he did was that President William Ruto is the first president in the history of Kenya to sit on television and being questioned on matters and economics.
Well,
I think President Kenyatta, I was too young to know anything. Moi would have no time for it, isn't it? Kibaki would not explain that much, you just see it doing it, isn't it? And then Uhuru Kenyatta would not spend about 3 hours talking about economy.
At least he's done that. At least he's done that.
No, I'm saying, well, 3 hours,
during closing of the year and all that,
Not much. And let me just finish. What is important about this is the difference here. Kibaki wouldn't talk about it, we'll do it. Ruto will talk a lot about it, how much will he do? The problem that UD and Kenya Kwanza needs to address is doability.
Okay.
Say it and do it.
You know, we should have started by asking, what do you make of his, interview yesterday?
I would begin by what I make of, at least I'm now learning to address Mr. William Ruto as president. But I have difficulties.
I told you last time you have to call him Mr. President.
I have difficulties in addressing.
You are actually a lawyer.
I have serious difficulties in addressing Mr. Gachagua as deputy president. For this debate, I'll address
the president.
The president as Mr. President. Yeah. But for Mr. Gachagua, I have serious reservations.
Well, we're not even talking about the
but listen to what he said. Listen to what he said when he was at Jabini.
Yeah.
For him, when people are mourning and giving a lot of praises to this heroine who was laying there, counts of how she liberated this country, the sacrifice that group had to do, what he came to do when he was given an opportunity to address the mourners was to come and chest thump how Kikuyus are in government. This Kenya belongs to us all. Whether you are a Kikuyu, whether you are Kalenjin, a Luya, a Luo, this is our country. So when he says that, we worked for this government, that is why these guys are being rewarded as shareholders, and the president, by the way, affirmed that yesterday that this company is a shareholder, he was not able to substantiate.
Well, he said the deputy is capable of speaking for himself.
He said indirectly that this is a company.
Okay.
But now the question is, when you come and say, that, and the way we are seeing that the kind of the Kalenjinization, to the extent that people are now being forced how to learn Kalenjin language. People are saying Yamune.
At what point have people been forced?
You know,
Yamune is just
you might realize, you might
interesting,
think that whatever is happening in the social media is a joke, but it's a reflection of what is happening. If you look at the energy sector completely, I even saw a tender being made for Murusik. It was circulating. How true that is, I do not know. But it was in the papers, Murusik being ordered as part and parcel of the supplies. You ask yourself, a man like Sunday, a man that I know, a guy that I can vouch for, despite the sibling rivalry, a guy whom I have known since 2008, a guy whom when you give an opportunity to work, will work, he will deliver. Why is he just being treated as a mere coordinator?
Is he?
He's just being treated as a mere
coordinator.
This guy deserves,
he
deserves a decent job.
Okay.
But do you know why he cannot get a decent job? Because he
are
doesn't know how
to
to say
say
Chamge, Yamune, and missing.
Let us ask him this and we'll come back to you. Does it not disturb you that this is being talked about?
I'm actually vouching for him. I'm actually vouching.
And we want him to tell us whether it does not disturb
I need a job, and he knows. He knows for me.
He knows, but you are not from his
You don't have to ask for me. I will get it.
Okay, without doubt. But does it not disturb you?
You see, what we must concentrate on is what Dr. talked about. Is how is this government planning for the 5 years to be able to fulfill the promises they gave to the people?
In that case,
that is what is very important.
You see, I was giving this back to you so that you can tell us whether it does not disturb you to hear some of these things that people are talking about.
What disturbs me is how are we going to do the housing projects all over the country.
We're going to come back to that.
To be able to urbanize. You know, we are planning towards urbanization of this of the country, and we know that all our population is moving towards towns. Like what Wakili was saying in Kerugoya. I was in Gurubani over the weekend. Sincerely, the factories and the rice milling companies, they are rising to the extent that now the population is grown, and you can now not squeeze out the land from the rice pads. For construction. You encourage these people to go to Kerugoya. That's and Kianyaga, his village. That's what and Kutus. That's how we are doing it. In the university, the Kirinyaga University is grown, and we have the university population. We are encouraging people to leave Nairobi to go back and work in the county. These people don't have accommodation. But we should not, just a moment, we should also not just look at the housing per se. We should look at the jobs. And the president was able to explain that very well.
But
One
long
unit
term
of a
as well,
house.
You see, these are more or less like short term, because once you have set up these structures, then what happens to these individuals that have gotten a job? But that aside, Sunday, we're going to come and unpack that. But basically, also, let's just not take it away from what it is that Wakili was referring to. And Wakili Stan as well is watching this morning, says, good morning, Linda. Kindly ask Mr. Sunday Oyolo the position of the Kenya Kwanza government on the issue of Mumias sugar. What is the government's position on growing the Western Kenya economy? And goes ahead to say the president evaded the question of tribal balance in his administration. Can the UDA Kakamega coordinator state his position on this? And I think it's basically what then we were asking.
Mumias, recently we had heard of plans to privatize Mumia Sugar and Nzoia. The president has since shelved that. Instead, we are getting new machines in Nzoia and Mumias. Secondly, he has even gone further. We are getting a Bukas-like investor when Mumias was Mumias. So that this manager will then manage the factory and ensure that HR issues and finance issues are done and the government recoups its money. Secondly, there is a very good partnership right now between the government, the national government, and the counties. Lusaka is on the table, Governor Lusaka in Bungoma, and Governor Fernandez are on the table. What we are encouraging our people and the local politicians to withdraw all the cases that they have in court against the company, so that the company can be able to move. And that is local politics.
Yeah.
That is not national. What is national is that we have been able to bargain with the president so that out of the companies that had been planned for privatization, Mumias is not one of them. Because we have a lot of community land on Mumias, that Mumias Sugar stands on. We have a lot of community land that Nzoia stands on. That will be a very big issue.
Yeah.
So he has accepted, and we are saving our company for that. Secondly, we have a lot of agricultural planning around Western. EPZ 2 weeks ago, EPZ has now decentralized. We are having EPZ being set up in Busia.
Okay.
And with that, we have the avocado and the oil plants being spread. I am personally just had a meeting last week with the Deputy Governor, Vihiga, Honorable Kitiezo, and an investor who is putting up a factory to be able to milk out now the oil from the avocado tree. And we have, in fact, we are saying apart from Hass avocado, which is all over and now being planted, we also have the Fuete and the Jumbo avocados, which are also there almost in every home.
Perhaps it's a good assurance to the people of Western, and I mean, it should be spoken to.
And the roads are being done very well.
The tribal aspect and balance.
No, you see what
the president articulate that to
yesterday the president said very well. He said, let's bake the bigger cake. You know, when we concentrate on this small cake, it becomes very difficult to distribute it
How
around.
small? How small?
The cake is not enough. What we should concentrate now is to bake a bigger cake so that everybody at least has a share.
That we all agree, Linda.
That is fair enough.
We all agree that we need to bake a bigger cake. But even the small one that is there must first of all be shared
across
equally and equitably. So that at least we are assured that even when we bake a bigger one, those that
it's a guarantee,
it's a guarantee that we will still have the same equitable and equal sharing of the big one.
Otherwise, you'll be reminded that you are not part of the baking process.
Exactly, you'll be told that you're not part of the main course. And that is exactly what has been happening in this country. Now, my biggest worry is that we are talking too much. UDA is talking too much. The president is talking too much with very little deliverables. If you look at what is happening in Kirinyaga, and I want to take back there to Kirinyaga, they speak about industrialization. On the 5th of this month, they went and gazetted a certain land in Sagana. It's called Kene. The land measures about 200 acres. They took that land. Moses Kuria gazetted that land as an EPZ zone, without the participation and the involvement of the people. We were not told where the balance of the balance of 125 acres is going. People have no idea. There have not been participation. And the question is, I agree the question of industrialization and the EPZ zones is an important thing. But the question is, in Kirinyaga, a potentially agricultural county, what are we looking at? We are looking at how we can add value to our coffee. We are looking at how we can add value to our tea, how we can add value to our milk, how we can add value to our avocados, as he says. Those are the small things that will put money in people's pocket. But when I heard the president address the nation yesterday, he said for him, when he was asked about the food security, he said for him is financing at the production. Then I asked myself, and I may not understand economics better than Professor understands, but I also think that the fuel system is a key component that drives the engines of production. So if we are not subsidizing fuel, which is a fundamental and a key infrastructure towards production, because at least a farmer in Kitale requires the tractor to till his land. A farmer in Kitale requires a tractor to plant his maize. You see, if we're not subsidizing that, what are you telling me? Today, I've seen IPRA. I may not speak to...
14th was yesterday?
Today, I'll buy a liter of diesel for my car at 168. The guy who is driving a Toyota, a Toyota Probox, ferrying Mira from Meru or from Bere to Nairobi, will pay a liter of petrol today at 198. How then do you claim that you are the only one who understands the economy and you cannot understand the economy of fuel?
You know, my friend on Saturday told me, kama uko na uwezo jaza saa hii, unajua 14th inafika, jaza saa hii mapema because by the time
imepanda yesterday.
Itakuwa imepanda.
Yeah. So Linda, let me put perspective to what Wakili has said. That's a very important question, and because of lack of knowledge, so many people are being misled. In economics, there's nothing that is totally consumption and totally production.
Okay.
And I can say that your consumption is somebody's production. What do I say? Somebody consumes Kenya power to produce. So if you are seeing him as a consumer, so you can't subsidize his consumption, then how can he produce? Now, even here we are sitting at TV47.
Yeah.
There's something we are consuming so that we can produce this show. But this production that we are giving, someone will consume to produce something. So there's no clear cut that this is consumption and this is production.
Okay.
When we are being told that we are being labor intensive, the only difference is labor intensive and capital intensive economy. Those difference. And these people bring that thing as if now it is production versus consumption. At the same time, because of force of demand and supply, you can never go somewhere. You know, during COVID-19, I was part of a task force that was demarcating which area of the economy the government needed to put subsidy stimulus packages.
Yeah.
And when I sit with rather very known economists, some of them are in this government of Kenya Kwanza, came and said, let us ignore hospitality industry because it is the least likely to recover. Let us put money on agriculture so that people can produce tomatoes, vegetables, and sell. Then I ask them, when hospitality dies, do you know that hospitality is over 60% consumption of agricultural products?
Yeah.
So if hotel dies,
then you have nowhere to
where
take
will you take your
produce?
vegetables?
Okay.
People have to understand that an economy must be an ecosystem. That's why even if mosquitoes bite you, when you tell government to kill all mosquitoes, they have to understand the imbalance of not having mosquitoes. They are giving us malaria. In fact, many people have talked about finding an ecosystem in which mosquitoes can coexist with us, even having mosquito nets, but spraying to kill them might bring an imbalance. Sometimes say, we have to understand that this importantly, consumption is bad. If people don't consume, government don't even make money.
Yeah.
Because Linda, if I give you 20,000 shillings today, after this show, when you are done with your day, for example, I don't know when your day ends, you'll pass somewhere and call someone, your girl, and say, let's have lunch. When immediately you have lunch, government has collected, and you know, remember that for every cup of tea you take, the government is taking 70%.
Yeah.
In fact, even if you drink Tusker, that Tusker, 70% of the price of that Tusker goes to government. So government is the biggest gainer if people consume. And that's why in economics, and I can even quote here for those who want to read, go and read economics called Keynesian economic.
Yeah.
They said the government should spend even to the point of getting a deficit so that people can consume basic needs. Because if you see arithmetic here, if I cut your income so much so that instead of eating 3 meals a day, you eat 2 meals a day. If 53 million Kenyans moves to 2 meals a day instead of 1 meal a day, and if 1 meal is 1,000 bob, most people's meals 2,000 bob. Now, if 1 meal is 2,000 bob, you take 2,000 times 50 million, isn't it? That is the revenue the government has lost because no one is spending on it. So people must consume. That's why developing countries, let's go to America, they are subsidizing fuel. They are subsidizing food. Go to Europe, they are subsidizing. And the person who preaches these things of non-subsidies is IMF.
Okay.
And the president had an explanation when he was being asked.
Whether
are you with
pressure?
IMF?
He was under pressure.
So let me give you some leakage. Today at Ufungamano House,
Yeah.
we are meeting with the very many Kenyans who believe they need to tell the president he has to choose whom he's serving. Is he serving IMF or is serving the people of Kenya?
But he says that he makes decisions.
No. I'm saying we are going to make a press statement there.
Don't you think you're going to get the same question, the same answer?
No, but it's a very important thing that Professor is raising.
Yes, because we are going to. We
have been held captive.
There are 7 criteria how IMF works.
Yeah.
IMF does not allow anyone to give subsidies. IMF normally go for structural advancement programs. IMF does not always want people to invest in capital in intensive things. So we know the 7 criteria. So we are looking at Kenya government and they're taking all the 7.
Okay.
Is it a coincidence they're taking them? Then you have to understand, Linda.
So are you saying the president lied to the nation?
No, yes. Let me finish.
Sandy, we are coming to you.
Let me finish. Now, the last thing you have to know, IMF in history has never turned around a single economy. And IMF has never been a friend to any country. And lastly, IMF was formulated for developing countries, not developed countries.
Okay.
That's why when there was a crisis in EU, I was an economist with the EU then, we helped turn around the economy of Greece, the Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain.
Okay.
They never went to IMF. They went to European Central Bank. Ask yourself why.
Okay.
If there's a country suffering in the US, in the global north, and the west and the global west, why have they never gone to IMF? Only developing countries like Africa goes to IMF, which means IMF is a tool of the West to keep the global south poor. And aligning by IMF policies is killing the economy.
You're saying the president lied to
Linda, no.
Lying, I don't want to say that because...
That's why the president, first of all, stated very categorically that he has turned down advice of IMF on the budget,
How
on the
possible?
borrowing.
You know, constantly I am reading news. Yeah?
He said that he has he refused to take the advice on how to borrow. They wanted him to borrow more. He has come down from over 1 trillion borrowing to about 620 billion in borrowing, reducing by 5 billion more. The president also has not wholesomely refused issues of
IMF
of what we say the support of our farmers and what have you. He said we cannot subsidize consumption.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we can't take money to the millers, but let's take money to the farmers. And that's why the seed has to be cheaper, why the fertilizer has to be cheaper. So that's the realignment. He did not say subsidies.
But he argued, the argument is, how does this fertilizer then get to the farmer with such an expensive affair on the road?
But now the fertilizer has reached the farmers. I am a farmer. And we are the food basket of this country. My land is tilled at lower price. During Uhuru Kenyatta time, seeds peke yake was very expensive. Fertilizer was very expensive. We didn't even get it. That's why we had no food. Right? At this time, the fertilizer has reached up to the locals. Let me tell you another thing. When we talk about the prof has also talked about labor, how the cake is baked.
Yeah.
And he's talked about those significant parts of the economy.
Yeah.
It is true. And the president is now doing labor-intense projects, like the housing, to create jobs, to give people capacity to purchase. He has talked about purchasing. Here, the only people who can purchase are the 700,000 civil servants who are employed in government. We want to be able to make everybody have capacity to purchase.
Interesting. That's not a new thing.
Interesting. Allow us to take a short break. Allow us to take a short break.
And that's where we are right now. And that's what he wants everybody.
It is a commercial break. We're coming back to you.
It's not a new thing.
It is basically what, all right, a commercial break, and then we come back to that.
You are watching TV 1947. The home of untold stories. Are you owed money but don't even know it? Let Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority help you. Our expert team can help you locate any unclaimed assets such as bank accounts, stocks, and even inheritances that you may have forgotten about or even knew existed. Let us help you claim what's rightfully yours. We are located at Passes Center, 2nd floor, Slip Road off Wayaki Way, Westlands, Nairobi. Call us on 020-402-3000 or 0706-8669.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story. Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea. Siku nyingine tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered.
Speak to the people of Kenya and largely on what is playing in the country politically, the presidential, interview or the president's interview with the members of the Fourth Estate, as well as what they say that perhaps there could be some arrangement of unity, in the offing, which is something that the president said, well, it is not in line with a handshake or something of that nature, but basically just to have peaceful coexistence and, vibrant opposition that counterchecks the activities of the government. So, Wakili, we come back to you. Yes. And just a reminder that we have Professor Fred Ugola, we have Wakili Degwanjiru, and equally Honorable Sande Oyolo. Yes.
I was saying that if you look at what happened in Jabini on Saturday, it will tell you where the country was in 2022 August and where we are today. In 2022 August, when President William Ruto would go and say, Murega ring, you would hear the jubilations. On Saturday, you could tell again the difference.
It was a morning time.
When you had this other guy
called a funeral.
when you see this guy called the guy from Madeira, and then he came with his bulldozing and his chest thumping approach to issues, there was no enthusiasm, there was no reception.
Truthful man.
The so-called truthful man. Look at him. And then look at the introduction of someone called Maina Jenga and Baba. Look at the reception. Do you know why? People are discontented with what is happening in government.
I thought the very same people of Central Kenya are the ones who gave President Uhuru Kenyatta a protest vote, and Baba.
Now they have realized that they made a mistake.
Actually, so you now agree to the protest vote?
Yes. 40% of President William Ruto's votes came from Mount Kenya.
Yeah.
That's why Gachagua said by saying, we are in this government by choice, 40%.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at the President Ruto's staff gave him around 35%, then the rest were all over the place.
I agree. Now, the biggest misdoing for the president is his deputy. The deputy, his tongue runs quite fast than his mind. Take for example, when he comes and addresses the people,
is it a bad thing?
It's a toxic thing, and I think he needs.
It's a good thing.
To think faster.
His tongue runs faster than his mind. He thinks he needs a speech therapist, and for one reason, look at how he addressed the mourners. He's telling mourners, oh, your shambas were Mau were taken. We know the family that took those shambas.
Truth.
Then I challenged him, in Madari, Nyeri, where he comes from in his backyard. We have the Catholic Church there, owning over 3,000 or 4,000 acres of land in Madari Nyeri. So my question is, If this truthful man is so truthful that he wants to truly resettle, if the truthful man is so truthful that he wants to truly resettle the Mau Mau, let him start by taking that land from Madari, resettle the Mau Mau, resettle himself because he's also claiming to be a son of Mau Mau. He should also resettle himself there. Then from there, we come and take big lands like Kakuzi, we take big lands like Del Monte, before we go to, those lands are not owned by Kenyans, before we go to attack lands that are owned by Kenyans. So that then he can demonstrate his truthfulness in the process of resettling Mau Mau. But we cannot build this country from the platform in which Gachagua is taking us to. Is inciting people. That is an epitome of crisis. It is a recipe for crisis because there's nobody who is going to accept his land to be invaded. So my thinking is, when you want to invite investors to come and boost the economy, and then you are telling the investors that your right to ownership of property is not guaranteed, that your land can be taken tomorrow, that you are here as a sojourner, you're not here as a person who owns this land permanently. What are you telling people? For example, look at what Moses Kuria mentioned the other day. I don't know where he was. He said he was in Thika attending a kind of a 25 years anniversary for a certain musician. So he says that they are going to do certain actions towards Raila Odinga. Then he says, you know, mi naenda huko Ulaya kutafuta wazungu na hawakuji kwa sababu ya huyu jamaa. How will they come if the cabinet minister is not instilling confidence in the people? He's telling people that we are going to cause assassinations. Investors knows the consequences of such an action. Will you come to invest in such kind of a country? So the biggest misdoing is the kind of the dream team that the president has. He could mean well, but he has a very bogus and hopeless
did it feel
team.
like, Prof, did it feel like, you know, this job of trying to sanitize and making Kenyans comfortable and explaining things has been left for the president? I know he is the #1 person to explain, but perhaps the people, the dream team, like he rightfully says.
In fact, Linda, that's why we need the 50, the president needs the 50 CAS.
CASs.
That's why he said, I need these people for the work to be done. Our Constitution 2010 has actually curtailed the ministers. Now you can see somebody like Kuria has to come out of the bag to answer politics. That is not supposed to be, it was not envisaged in this constitution. That's why you see people like Duale, Murkomen and Wahome, people are asking where are they? Because hitherto they would talk. But right now, this constitution has curtailed them from talking. We tried to remedy that. That's why we need CAS to come out, and that's why this
even case, a CAS
this case must the CAS can talk. The PS and the CAS, the PS and the CS are not supposed to be doing the daily politics.
But if they're not going to do this, but they will appear before Parliament.
Now, that is why.
How much of a difference?
Secondly, now in Parliament, they've been invited into. They've now come to Parliament to be able to answer questions. And you see, when they are answering questions, it's now not politics. It is now accountability and accountability. I wanted to finish something.
You became clueless and rudderless when you joined UDA. I didn't think that you could think that way. You need to look at it from a constitutional structure aspect. That we have a problem with the design of our constitution. And that's the reason why we were proposing to have members of parliament becoming members of the cabinet. So that they can be able to play politics and they can also be able to play other deliverable issues. And that is why the BBI was making that deliberate proposal to make sure that the vacuum that you can now see has been created will be taken care of in Parliament. But the question is, when we look at the architectural design of this constitution, and it was important for us to keep on reviewing whether the constitution has effectively served us as Kenyans aspired, we might then be required to come to a conclusion and say, yes, guys, in 2010 we cornered ourselves, in 2010 we had cuffed ourselves. Let's now rethink how we can make this constitutional workable for the government that is in force. William Ruto will be there today. Tomorrow he's not going to be there. Sunday will be there today. tomorrow I'll not be there. We need to have a constitution for posterity. Look, for example, the reason why they had to bring the members of the cabinet to the parliament, I'll bet the unconstitutionality of that process is because there are some things that needs to be administered in the manner in which they are doing it. The going of the members of cabinet to parliament is not a constitutional process because they have not amended the constitution. They amended the standing orders. Some of us have just allowed it to go as it is because it is a necessity. It's a necessary evil that the members of the cabinet requires to go to parliament for purposes of checks and balances. But we need to anchor it properly in the constitution.
We have nobody has ever had a problem with BBI. The same is saying the architectural structuring of the BBI had a problem. When you want to do it, this is a national duty, you want to make it a handshake project, it was a problem. And that's why even the court said the way it was anchored was a problem. Like, for example,
are you telling us that Kenya Kwanza government has an intention of bringing back,
there are elements within the BBI that are good, and we can't refuse. The way it was anchored and the purpose for which it was meant was wrong. Say, like, for example, if you say the issue, that's why we want these ministers to come to parliament and answer even a major issue like what he has just talked about, the issue of land. Now, when you talk about land, the Catholic Church land, the church land is public land. The land is versus the land we are talking about is individual land. The land that was supposed to settle the Mau Maus when they were coming back from the field. That land was taken by an individual. That is the land that is Madari.
The land in Madari.
Yes, that is public land.
That is church. The church is not public.
The church is public.
Go and read the definition of public land. Mr. Sunday. Mr. Sunday, go to the constitution and read the definition of public land. I didn't know it become this cruel.
No.
Let's be fair to the professor. Let's be fair to the professor.
You see, for us, these guys, I told you they know each other from NAC Kenya. And I think we need to organize a coffee offline first and see what are the issues, then we can do them in therapy.
But I think it works perfect for the debate because then clearly
they know who knows what. And they have different
and who is genuine and
not.
Okay.
So Linda, let me make a comment about what my senior lawyer here is saying, and maybe Sunday could be close to the truth by saying that he's a very level-headed lawyer. And in fact, his legal mind is highly respected. Not just
the political one is down.
But the political thing here, let me tell you what we're killing. You can despise what Gachagua said. Or what William Ruto said. But let me tell you one thing about this guy called William Ruto. William Ruto is not looking at Kenyans as citizens. He's looking at them as his clients. And he talked to them as someone talking to a client. And one goodness of an interview of a president is that he is understood. Do you know what? The middle class who are saying he is lying, those middle class are not his clients. The masses understood what he was trying to say. Then we asked them, 700 employees by government have been earning money from taxpayers' money. Jay, if I ask you to pay part of that money to employ unemployed, is it bad? His clients are happy. I saw another joke on TikTok where someone was calculating how Ruto can make someone own a car, then later own a helicopter, then later become a billionaire, then being called, I don't know what. This guy knows his client. So William Ruto and Gachagua is talking to the client. They are understanding it. With their knowledge and education, you may not understand it, even me. In fact, middle class actually don't understand. So these guys see Kenyans as clients that they are serving, and they know the messaging they give them. In fact, the messaging Gachagua gave helped there, so the people even in that Mount Kenya to understand, say, okay, so Mount Kenya, we went to fight for land, but we got freedom, but land we never got, because Mount Kenya sees land as factor of production. In fact, if you look at these two dichotomy, and I'm an economist, if you want to see many people on pension, get them from Western Kenya. Because for Western Kenya, when people approached the issue of freedom, For us who are fighting to get the jobs, for us Luos, people from Western Kenya were fighting to get jobs for the Europeans. They should leave, we get their jobs, isn't it? Mount Kenya want them to get land because they wanted to produce and then supply. Okay. And that's why you can't find many people who are working for government, civil servants, most of them are in the western part of Kenya. In fact, pension market is in that area. So these guys were talking to their clients, and that's why the issue of shareholders. Customer is king. So customer is who voted you, the masses. So they are the king. These guys like lawyers are regulators, isn't it? You can, if you get it wrong with the customer, you can even find money to pay a regulator.
The regulator.
But if you get it wrong with the customer, even if regulation has given you license to operate, you simply cannot be able to run a business. So I'm sure that they were getting that point very clearly. Then the other thing, Linda, there's another discussion here which is hidden, and I want to take the attention of the media to start putting their eyes on it. This is about devolution. You know, devolution was discussed yesterday, and even the president was being asked whether he believed in devolution or not. And he tried to explain it a little bit. But let me tell you that we're using numbers is that devolution took place in Kenya. We devolved positions, we devolved roles, we devolved corruption, we never devolved services. And by saying that is this, there's a minister for health in every county, isn't it? Some of them are political appointees, whom even the president almost nearly acknowledged they have no clue on how to run a health system. And that's why I talk about the collaboration between them. But you see, according to me, is that the government spends 11.1% of the national budget. That translates into 400 billion shillings allocated to health. But if they're after allocating 400 billion shillings to health, they disburse only they only disburse 135 billion to the counties, keeping 265 billion at the national level, yet health is fully devolved. Now the question comes in, what are you doing with 265 billion in the national level when health is fully devolved? That's just numbers. It tells you that devolution never actually took place. In fact, we are spending more time discussing about Raila, Ruto, Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, and yet we are forgetting that counties are suffering, and that's why many people are really feeling this heat. Pending bills are high, unpaid salaries are high, stalled projects are very high. And then even if the government of Kenya says they can be able to sort out the issue, why don't they partner with counties to find a way on which the economy can grow from bottom? Because the question you can ask, what is Kenya without Nairobi? 43% of the GDP is gone. But if you look at a country like Germany, if you take out Berlin, you'll find that Germany is still viable, actually at growing at 0.05%. But in Kenya, this will take away that. Why don't we bring this? And there's goodness here. Because of globalization and digital improvement, location does not matter much. You can do something in Mandera that could be done in Nairobi. So we can find these ways to find how we can create the economy.
And devolution is one thing, Wakili, that the president spoke to. You want to come in, extensively, and then we ask ourselves: Can we feel devolution perhaps?
We cannot feel devolution whatsoever. I was in Kerogoya Hospital on Thursday, and the situation there is pathetic. Guys are sleeping 2 on 3 by 6? 3 beds. 3 by 6, yeah?
Yes, 6 by 3 or 3 by 6, yeah.
They are sleeping 2. And I cannot blame the governor for that reason. The governor has been held hostage by the national government.
You're talking about Kirinyaga?
Kirinyaga.
Where the chair of the Council of Governors sits.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where the chair sits.
Yeah.
People are sleeping 3 or 2 on one single bed, 2 by 3.
Well, I have seen them sleeping 3 by 3.
They are doing, I witnessed it with my own eyes, and that is devolution. The reason being, we do not, the devolution that we have is just an imaginary one. You cannot have devolution without financial autonomy. And that is one of the things that is killing devolution. Go to the county assemblies. They have no financial autonomy. Yet, this is a county assembly that's supposed to check on the arbitrariness or give oversight to the executive. So until we realize in our constitution somewhere how to make financial autonomy and some semi-autonomy of these counties, we'll never realize the dream that we aspired to realize. You can imagine, Governor Waiguru currently has been held hostage. I cannot blame her for that reason, because she does not have her own money. She has to go and beg for the money. She has built a magnificent hospital in Kerawea, a magnificent one, but she's not able to equip it because she does not have the money to equip. So is that a governor who should be applauded or a governor who should be castigated? You see, me, I'm a very objective analyst. To that extent, she has done something bingo. But because of the financial constraints, she is not able to do it. And that's why I'm saying we need to go and look at the architectural design of this constitution. On the question of 700,000 jobs that government of Kenya has employed Kenyans, it is not a favor that they are being paid. Rather, it's not actually a favor that the hustler has done to this worker. The worker is working for the hustler and is being paid for that services he has offered to the hustler. So he owes no duty or obligation to give back to the hustler through the 3%. So you should not say, a president cannot come and say, oh, wewe hautaki wao pia wafaidike, lakini pia mimi nime-sacrifice, nimefanya kazi ambayo imewafaidi hawa mahasla. So the pay that I'm being given is a reward for or rather it is in exchange of the services I have offered. So it is not a favor that then I have to give I have to give back. In Kikuyu we say goshokia guoko. It's like it's not like I have to give back because
is it not basically how the likes of NHIF fight?
That is the essence of what we are saying. To some extent, this government does not understand what they so want. When we say that this 3% is a tax, he says it is not a tax.
Okay.
But the question is, what is a tax? A tax is a deduction. It's a deduction.
And so in this case,
yes, a deduction
more of
to
like
your
that.
salary.
Okay.
So to the extent that it is being deducted without your consent, upende usipende, it is being deducted. It is a tax.
Okay.
This is not a tax. This is a contribution.
What is tax?
Is a saving. A tax is a one way.
Okay.
Ukipea ikiendacho kwa mganga
hakirudi.
Ndio tax.
Lakini si mwisho kuna pension.
This one you are, in fact, by the way, it multiplies. It multiplies because unatoa 3% na mwajiri wako anatoa 3%.
The matrix of that.
Inakuwa 6%. Hii ni pesa yako. Kama hutaki nyumba, this is money you will get back. It's just like NSSF. It's a contributory. Linda, we must.
Why contribute and get it back? Ask me, Degwa. Do you want to contribute?
Because it's about housing, and eventually the ultimate goal is this. Why contribute and get it back?
If I don't want to contribute, I opt out.
Yes.
What we are saying is that if we can, first of all, by the way, you look behind this notion is the saving culture. We must, the money we get...
So that we also do not have the empty coffers.
And save for me. Government cannot pay me and save for me. I manage my money, the money which I want to
The government helps you.
And so if you want to have it back, will it be, again, having interest on top of it? Because this is money that has been...
plus interest.
Plus interest.
Yes, the president said it yesterday that you will get you saved 3%.
You know this president would be there then.
Linda, ask
the systems are clear.
Linda, ask Sandy to tell you how many hustlers have redeemed their savings of the hustlers' funds.
Okay.
How many of them have redeemed?
Is it
he doesn't borrow. This is a small rich person. Daktari said something here, very important. This is not a client for the hustler policy.
How many hustlers?
This is a middle class person.
Okay.
Those of us who know that a mama mboga.
Do we have a middle class in this country? A proper middle class?
This is a middle class. There is. And they don't vote.
Wakili here.
They only make noise. No, most of them don't vote. I'm telling you, they don't. That's why they
vied and voted.
Their work is this. I wanted to make
how many hustlers have redeemed?
We have 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes.
I know of a Mama Mboga who left Dandora in the morning, did not have the money to buy his sukuma wiki at Marikiti, akaenda kwa hustler fund, aka withdraw shilingi zake 1,000, akachukua nini sukuma, na akarudi nayo mtaani na akauza 500. Ni 500.
Hiyo sasa alichukua deni ama ni savings?
Yes, it's available. It's not like those other money things that have 30% on top. That's the hustler we are talking about. That's the client of this government, not this one.
So we have to close.
When I talk about the 3%, it is important for Kenyans to know this is your money. You work as 30%, you get another 30% on top of it, plus the interest, and you can get the house when you want it, or you can get the money eventually.
Lastly, is it when you want it or when you are capable of getting it?
The law is going to stipulate that, because now the law is in the house. And by the way, this is our wakili, and the process of making our laws is public participation, meaning the laws are coming down into additions and additives and whatever, just like the finance bill. It's not final. Lastly, let me say this.
We have to close.
Devolution. Devolution will work. The problem with devolution is this way. Most of our governors have made devolution an employment, counties an employment bureau. They were not meant to be employment bureaus.
But if it's going to employ the locals and other Kenyans, is that not creation of jobs?
You see, if you are in a county that has experienced 3 different governors, every governor has come in with his own lot. So they become like a reward bureau.
But is it not what is happening with the current government? But is it not what with the current?
Let me make this point.
Linda, you're getting people who carry your vision. You're getting people who are carrying your vision. Basically, what the president says.
If that is the thing, then they must accelerate that. They must also create the money. They have to come up with creativity.
We have to close.
Do industries, do factories, do local incentives for creating money. Not to just wait for the money from the treasury.
30 seconds.
Permit me to say that last week, we were honored by a group called the Lawyer Africa, and they came up with the top 100 litigation lawyers in Kenya in 2023. I was honored to be among the top 100.
Congratulations.
Because of the work that people have given unto me and the trust people have given unto me. I so thank them.
You know, Sunday, we always say you're a good lawyer.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that.
The politics, and he's not a good student.
Close it for us. Close it for us.
Being a good student is joining UTA.
That's basically it, joining your side.
I'll make 2 comments, then I close, but very fast. First of all, there's something called money illusion. Money illusion is saying we have allocated 6 billion for that. We have allocated this one to governors. County government receive I don't know how many billions, and they don't see them. It's an illusion. What we are asking Kenya Kwanza government is that let us go to doability. Say you have allocated 500 billion to counties on health. Disburse the money. Let us not just allocate. The issue of actual disbursement is the main thing. Allocation is one thing, and governors will suffer their re-election when they'll be. Ruto is blaming the former government, and then they are blaming the president for not disbursing the money, and then the voters will punish them in the ballot. The second thing is that Hustler Fund is no more, because I went to court, challenged it. Can you imagine, even yesterday's interview, there was no mention of Hustler Fund, meaning that even the pet project of the president he has known is not working, and I said it can't work, it won't work, it will never work. And to close my remarks is that, for me, I want to say that, in fact, let us not be cynical. There's something that God has done that we have to thank God, that William Ruto had to run on the platform of economic promise. Before, campaigns were never more about hard-nosed economic discussion. In spite whether people are saying he's lying, he's saying the truth or not, what is important is that Kenyans are now engaging in an economic discussion. This could actually birth a nation that actually eventually will understand the economics and vote their leaders on economical promises, but also on delivery of the economic promises. Because next election won't be whether you have an economic blueprint. It will be about whether you have believability and doability to execute your economic promises.
We have to
close,
closing,
30
seconds max.
One, I want to congratulate my brother. Wakili, for that award. It's not a mean job being a young advocate, a lawyer. That is a very good incentive, but we want him to also match that with his politics. Secondly, the Hustler Fund is on. What Kina Daktari went to court for was the questioning the constitution of the fund. It has since been done. There is a board, and it is now been streamlined.
No, the board is not in place.
It is on my phone.
Okay.
I borrowed the other day to fuel my car, so it is on.
No,
lastly,
so we have to close. It's 30.
Lastly, I want to urge Kenyans to go to participate in the public participation here on the finance bill.
Yes.
It is ongoing. They will enrich it.
How many days? 30, 5 days.
Yeah, this is not a dictatorship.
Yeah.
This is where you also put in your input. Yeah. I urge our economist, Daktari, to also go to those forums and be able to contribute and make it enrich it.
Thank you so much. Western Kenya Kwanza coordinator.
Na uambie mzee William Ruto apatie huyu jamaa kazi bwana.
Atapata. Mimi nilisikia siri. Unajua pia
sasa kuzunguka kina maneno ya coordination.
Amepata. Usikudanganye. Ako nayo.
Ama ujifundishe kikale kidogo hivi upate.
The good thing with the president is that he rewards loyalty, and I think that's that's right. For sure. And yes, Wakili Ndegwa Njiro here. Thank you so much as well.
You need to show the title.
As well as Fred Ogola, Professor. Thank you so much. It's called strategic thinking.
Yes.
We have had the privilege of going through it. It is worth a read. Sawa sawa. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We close this one, not in totality. Danku as well as Albanas and Obango are on standby for, that sporting action. I don't want to say, not action as such, but of course, a reminder of what played